wasn't quite what I thought I'd be when I was a kid on VOD. I thought when I get older I'd marry her, I told her. Now I'm 26 and I work in an office. 9 till 5's not the best, I'll be honest. If I could change a single thing, I'd make it me and not him. He's in your bed, I'm in your Twitch chat. I've got the key and he's just a doormat. And even though he's got social skills, that doesn't mean I can't pay the bills. Anyway, make the most of him, 'cause she moves on pretty bloody quick. Oh, oh. Your new boyfriend's an asshole. Jared, of course I bet Jared. The one who took you away from me. You hit it off instantly. I know, 'cause you won't stop telling me. I've seen his jawline, shoulders and muscles push against his fashion sense. I've thought about what he looks like nude. I'm not gay though. 'Cause she's living the dream. Oh, she's living the dream. From back when we were 17. She's living the dream. Oh, she's living the dream. From back when we were 17. How on earth could I be safe when I'm one click away from insane? I just think that I deserve a little bit of what I earned. I'm not gonna make another scene. The one I made when I was 23 means I'm not allowed in Disney World. But he's in your bed and I'm in your Twitch chat. I've got the key and he's just a doormat. 'Cause even though he's got social skills, that doesn't mean I can't pay the bills. Anyway, make the most of him, 'cause she moves on pretty bloody quick. Oh, oh. Your new boyfriend's an asshole.
Hello! Hello, chat! How are we doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I've had a decent week. It's so crazy that there's only like a few weeks left of classes, and then first year of, well, technically not my first year of college. First year at a university. Done. Man. But before we read chapter 3 of Through a Glass Divine, I have a funny story that I want to tell. So, I'm in choir. I am in a choir class in my college. And yesterday, the professor was telling us a story about her experiences with voice when she first started college, and how her lessons teacher told her that oh phew, I looked over to my laptop to see, it appears that you're offline. My laptop was just having an internet moment. We're good. Anyway, the her teacher told her that if she had proper training before her experiences, she could have been a good coloratura. In case you don't know what that is, a coloratura is a type of singer that can sing high and like high runs really well. I think that's what it is. But because my professor didn't have a lot of experience with singing before then, she isn't a good coloratura, and she tried doing like an example, and she described it as that was a bad like cholera or something like that. And I pulled a John Mulaney and had a brilliant moment of word association. And so I said, cholera, I hardly know her. And she just looked me in the eyes with a wide grin on her face, walked over to me, and held out her hand for me to take. And the whole class was laughing. I felt special. Alright. How about we read chapter 3 of Through a Glass Divine, eh? Let's see. I don't think I properly set up everything, so there's just a couple things I gotta do real quick, and in the meantime, if you're new to my stream and you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave a follow, and follow me on my other socials as well. It would really help a lot as a broke-ass college student. Alright. So we do boom! So Through a Glass Divine is written by Bones and the Bees. I highly recommend you check out her stuff in your own time, because my god, is it good. If you've never heard of Bones and the Bees, or if you're like, this name kind of sounds familiar, why? It's because if you are familiar with SBI, like found family fanfictions, Bones and the Bees typically writes those most of the time, and that's what Through a Glass Divine is. But probably the most well-known SBI fanfic that she's written in the community is Tommy and Its Clinic for Supervillains. That's where the villain Siren came from. Now, Through a Glass Divine, so far what's happened in the past couple chapters is this is a cyberpunk, like a cyberpunk society, that follows this one religion for this god, basically called Clara. And the Pythia is basically a prophet that receives visions from Clara. And one day, the Pythia gets kidnapped by the I forgot what they're called. Are they Nightlings? Or I forgot what they're called. But they worship the goddess of death rather than Clara. So the Pythia gets kidnapped by them, and right now he is still being held hostage by them. Okay, there's no way I'm going to say this correctly, so I want to see if I can figure out how it's pronounced first before I take a shot in the dark and then people clip me and put me on livestream fails. Okay. Thank God I looked that up because I would have totally pronounced it wrong. Cocytus. Okay. Alright. Everyone get comfy. Get your hot chocolate, your tea, your snacks, anything that you want, and strap in for Chapter 3. Waters of Cocytus. Summary. The Pythia's first morning in the temple. The Pythia woke up to the sound of a fist rapping against metal. When the Pythia's eyes opened, there was a brief moment where he didn't remember the events of the night before. His vision was blurred, and he could just make out swirls of color on the ceiling above his head. The inside of his skull felt as though it had been stuffed with cotton, and there was a rancid taste inside his mouth. He blinked, the ceiling slowly coming into focus. The knocking on the door continued to echo through the room, and the memories began to trickle to the forefront of his thoughts. The ball, Shalat ignoring his warning, a needle being jabbed into his neck. Tommy, the Deathlings. Okay, I was close. Deathlings, not Nightlings. The temple. It all came back in flashes. His body felt like lead as he forced himself to sit up, his head throbbing with the remnants of the tranquilizer. He twisted his fingers into the blankets pooled over his legs, and took a breath to try and steady himself. Hello? Tommy's voice was muffled through the door. You awake yet? The Pythia nearly jumped out of his skin at the reminder of the person behind his door. His heart slammed against his ribs, hands shaking as he wrapped his arms around himself. Fuck. Right. This was a death temple. He was deep beneath the earth in Kristen's domain and had no idea if Claire could even see him. Great thing to wake up to. I'm up, he shouted back. His voice was hoarse from sleep, which thankfully covered up the way it wavered so Tommy couldn't hear it. Immediately, the shared door between their rooms began to open, and the Pythia yelped as he slapped his hands over his eyes. My blindfold's not on! He heard the screeching door stop. Shit, almost forgot. I'll keep my eyes on the ground while you put it on. While the Pythia couldn't understand why Tommy didn't seem more afraid of the fact that he could literally curse him with his eyes, he sighed and nodded. Carefully, he blinked open his eyes again, and saw Tommy standing in the doorway with his head tilted towards the ground. To his surprise, the boy didn't seem worried about the imminent danger he was technically in. Although he couldn't see his face from this angle, his shoulders were slumped, and he was tapping his foot idly, like this was more of an inconvenience than anything else. Looking down beside the mattress he'd slept on, he saw his blindfold folded neatly next to the water pitcher just as he'd left it. He lifted it to tie it on, but glanced up at Tommy again and hesitated. Although the enchantments on the blindfold were as precise as could be, they weren't perfect. There was still a subtle blur over the world around him every time he put it on, a shimmer almost. Something you didn't notice at first, but slowly became aware of the more often you had to see through it. One of the strictest rules in the palace was that the Pythia had to have their eyes covered whenever someone else was in the room. The only exception to this was the day his head was first measured for his blindfolds to be sewn. Although he swore to keep his eyes shut, the elderly tailor's hands trembled as he wrapped the measuring tape around his face, and you could practically hear the man's heart racing in his chest as from how panicked he was. As the Pythia stared at Tommy, the more the realization sunk in. This was his first time actually seeing another human being without the blur of magic in many years. You done yet? Tommy asked after a moment, startling the Pythia out of his thoughts. The Pythia stiffened and forced himself to turn away. Sorry, 1 second. He ignored the ache in his chest as he tied the blindfold around his head, having to bite back a sigh when the blur was cast over his eyes once more. With a quick twist, the knot was secure, and the moment was over as quickly as it happened. Okay, I'm good. Tommy lifted his head, not a single ounce of fear in his eyes as his gaze fell on the Pythia. You look like shit. For a moment, the Pythia could only stare. That tends to happen when you get a face full of asphalt because your kidnapper didn't tell you how to land. He shot back after a moment. Tommy winced at the reminder. Yeah, sorry again about that. He paused, frowning as he looked the Pythia up and down. I was gonna get you a change of clothes, but you probably want to wash all that dirt off you, right? Now that Tommy mentioned it, the Pythia realized he'd slept in his clothes from the night before. That included the stained remains of the traditional Pythia garb, along with the windbreaker Tommy had made him wear on the motorcycle. Without the tranquilizer slowing his thoughts, he noticed the way the fabric clung to the sweat and dirt on his skin, and cringed at how disgusting it felt. I'd appreciate a shower. At this, Tommy snorted. Dunno if I could get you a shower, but it'll be close enough. It was then the Pythia noticed a black bag he had slung over his shoulder, which he swung to his front to unzip. He pulled out a bundle of fabric and walked over to where the Pythia was still sitting on his mattress, handing him a set of folded clothes. Those should fit, I think. The Pythia glanced between the clothes and Tommy. Are they yours? No. My clothes would probably be too short on you. Tommy huffed, obviously annoyed at the fact that the Pythia was taller than him. There's only, 2 people here that are as tall as you, but one of those people is Techno, and he actually has muscle, which you don't. Gee, thanks. The Pythia deadpanned. So I borrowed some from my other friend. He's stupidly tall and lanky like you. Tommy continued, ignoring his interruption. If they still don't fit though, I'll talk to Phil and we'll see what we can do. Although the Pythia wasn't sure what else they would do if the clothes didn't fit, he decided he didn't want to ask. Instead, he got to his feet and followed Tommy to the door that led to the hallway. After using another finger scanner to unlock the door, Tommy guided him out into the hallway with the painted walls once again. They turned down the hall towards the entrance that led to the main room of the temple, but when the Pythia expected Tommy to turn, he just kept walking past it. They continued past rows of doors, and he noticed there was less paint on these parts of the walls. The hall also seemed to be growing darker as well, and by the time they reached the end of it, there was only a tiny bit of light for the Pythia to see by. It was then that Pythia noticed the sound of rushing water, babbling like a myriad of voices layered on top of one another. The water seemed to be running through a single room at the end of a hallway that had a fabric curtain hung over the entrance. "Hello?" Tommy shouted through the curtain. "Anyone in there?" A few moments passed. The voices in the water continued to babble to one another, but no real words entered the mix. "Thank fuck," Tommy muttered as he turned back to the Pythia. "This is what we call the bathhouse. This is what we call the bathhouse. Because we're really far below the surface right now. There's a natural underground river that runs alongside the temple. This part of the temple actually opens up into a cave where the river splits in half. The larger part continues to run deeper underground, while the smaller part pools into a basin that Phil says the original Deathlings carved out a long time ago. The water is still moving, so it's clean, but it's a lot slower than the river, so you're not gonna get, like, swept away or something." Frowning, the Pythia pulled back the curtain hung over the entrance, and was hit in the face with a wall of steam. He blinked a few times to try and clear it, but then realized that the room itself was pitch black. "I can't see shit in here. I can't see shit in there," he said, turning back to Tommy. "Yeah, duh. It's a giant fucking bathtub. There used to be a shit ton of Deathlings who lived down here, so they just memorized the layout of the room in the dark, like we did with the stairs that led down to the temple. That way multiple people could use the bathhouse at once without, you know." Tommy paused, his eyes growing comically wide, peeping the horrors and all that. The Pythia stared at him blankly for a moment. "What? Oh, come on, man. So you don't gotta see another dude's dick or something," Tommy explained. "Anyway, it doesn't really matter these days because there are only a few of us living here, so we can just take turns. But it's not hard to navigate in there, so we keep it dark anyway." "Oh. Well, the Pythia supposed that made sense. Still, the pitch-black darkness with gurgling voices emanating from within was more than a bit terrifying to stand in front of, let alone actually walk into." "So you just want me to go bathe in there?" the Pythia asked, wrapping his arms tighter around the clothes Tommy gave him. "Yup." Tommy dug into his bag again, pulling out a few colorful bottles and shoving them into his hands along with a thin towel. "Go nuts with that. I'll wait out here till you're done." In the dim light of the hall, the Pythia could make out that the bottles were shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. He took note of their sizes, trying to memorize them so he'd be able to figure out which one was which in the dark. Looking up again, the Pythia stared into the void, and the void gurgled back. It was difficult to keep himself from imagining what could be lurking in there. If he went off the rumors about the Deathlings, he'd imagine corpses strung along the walls, or blood soaking the water running through the basin. But that was almost cartoonish in how evil it was. Instead, his mind echoed what Tommy had told him the night before, when they'd begun their descent down the steps into the temple. To the underworld, Tommy had said when the Pythia had asked where they were going. It was a joke, something meant to fuck with him. But right now, staring into the kind of darkness so complete it looked as though it held physical weight, the Pythia couldn't help but think that Tommy's joke was more real than he let on. After another second, though, he grit his teeth and forced himself inside. The steam only got thicker once the curtain fell shut behind him. Darkness swallowed him whole, the water vapor rising from the steam curling around his face and making beads of sweat form along his brow. He picked his way across the rocks with agonizing slowness, the stones smooth and warm under his hands as he crawled towards the source of the gurgling noises. When his fingers hit the edge of the water, he almost jumped back in surprise. Instead, though, he pushed up his sleeve and lowered his arm further in, feeling the rock beneath and noticing how it sloped downwards. Pulling back, he patted the rocks around him, finding a dry spot to keep his clothes and towel. Then, he took off his shoes, followed by the windbreaker Tommy had told him to wear the night before. He set those aside and reached for the blindfold tied behind his head, but paused as a realization occurred to him. It was pitch black in this cave. As far as he was aware, in order for the curse to go into effect, someone actually had to see his eyes directly. If his face was shrouded in darkness, then it didn't count. For some reason, a weight lifted off his shoulders at that. Knowing he could take his blindfold off here, even if someone walked inside, they wouldn't immediately be doomed to an early death. He set the blindfold underneath the towels to ensure it stayed dry. Then, he took off the rest of his clothes, before setting the bottles near the edge of the water so they'd easily be within reach. Then, he waded in. Drink break. The water was warm. It wasn't painful, but it was just on the edge between relaxing and uncomfortable. In the back of his head, he realized that this must have been why the water in his bathroom was lukewarm. If they got it from this underground river, there really wasn't much they could do to cool it down. The current kept the water moving past him, but never with more than a gentle push. The steam continued to curl up and around his face, and despite the fact that it was dark already, he found his eyes fluttering shut, letting some of the tension leak out of his shoulders for the first time since he woke up from his vision the day before. Fuck. Was it really only the day before that he woke up from the vision about the ball? It felt like eons had passed since his argument with Schlatt, but it had barely even been 24 hours. So much had changed in such little time. Here he was, swallowed by liquid darkness, so far beneath the earth not even his goddess could see him anymore. He was being cradled by the hand of death, and despite the warm water rushing around him, her embrace was freezing cold. After spending a few minutes with his eyes shut, drifting into the darkness, he forced himself to stand upright and blindly feel for the soap bottles he left on the rocks near the edge of the water. He played the guessing game of figuring out which bottle was which, and tried not to linger as he washed the lingering dirt and sweat off, ignoring how it felt like he was scrubbing the last remnants of the palace off of him. The scratches on his cheeks and hands stung when the soap hit them, but he grit his teeth and kept going, knowing he needed to get the dirt out one way or another. When he emerged from the basin, he didn't feel any better about his situation, but at least he was clean. The clothes Tommy had given him were surprisingly soft. That was the first thing he noticed as he pulled them on. Black joggers and a long-sleeved yellow shirt, with a hand-knit yellow sweater pulled over the top. The sweater itself was unique because it clearly was designed for appearance, not warmth. The threads were so far apart, it was more like wearing a net than an actual item of clothing. Along with that, The pattern of the stitching over the chest of the sweater reminded him of a spider's web, and he almost laughed at how fitting it was. Here he was, caught in the web of death, wrapped up in silk and just waiting for one of the spiders to come eat him. After tying the blindfold around his head again, wet hair clinging uncomfortably to the fabric, he made his way back to the entrance of the bathhouse. His old clothes were balled up in his arms, the torn, gauzy fabric shimmering even in the dull light filtering in through the hallway. The clothes Tommy had given him were soft, but nothing compared to the silk and cashmere that used to adorn his wardrobe. They were soft, but they were simple. They were soft, but they were so different from anything he'd worn since he first became the Pythia. For some reason, he liked the clothes, more than most of the things he had in his wardrobe back at the palace. He shook his head to rid himself of that thought as soon as it popped up. "Took you long enough," Tommy huffed as he emerged from the bathhouse. "Almost thought you drowned in there. Wouldn't give you deathlings all you got as the satisfaction," he shot back, wincing when the heel of his shoe rubbed against his ankle. Tommy noticed his discomfort and reached into his bag again, grunting as he struggled to yank out a pair of leather boots. "Almost forgot to give you these. I have no clue if they're going to fit you, but if not, we'll just get you another pair in your size soon." Unlike the Pythia's shoes, which were thin and already damaged from the events of the night before, these boots were sturdy. Obviously worn in, but meant to last a long time, with only a few scuffs showing their age. He pushed his shoes off, taking the offered boots and slipped them onto his feet. There was a lot of extra space, and he frowned again. "They're a little big." Nodding, Tommy tossed him an extra pair of thick socks. "Just put those over the socks you've got on. It should help." After doing as he said, the Pythia was frustrated to find that Tommy was right. The shoes fit almost perfectly with the extra socks, although he was sure his feet were going to get uncomfortably sweaty if he had to do nearly as much walking and stair climbing as he did the day prior. With the shoes settled, Tommy led him back to his room, where they deposited his old clothes and shoes in the far corner by the creaking dresser. They didn't linger there, though. As soon as they ditched his old stuff, Tommy was dragging him back into the hall, and this time they made their way into the main chamber of the temple once again. It looked exactly the same as it had the night before. The hologram arm on Kristen's statue rippled with small flickers here and there. The floating lights high above their heads slowly bobbed up and down, and the whole place smelled of dust and spices. "Where are we going now?" the Pythia asked, wrapping his arms around himself. "I don't know about you, but I'm fucking starving. Me starving. And since I'm the one that's got to keep an eye on you, I figured I might as well bring you with," Tommy told him with an extra bounce in his step. The Pythia narrowed his eyes. "Keep an eye on me? What are you, my babysitter?" Tommy snorted. "Your kidnapper, actually." Well, he wasn't wrong there. This time, Tommy led him straight across the main room and into the only other archway he hadn't been through yet. Immediately, the space opened up into a chamber that was much smaller than the one they'd just walked in from, but was still decently sized nonetheless. There was another hallway branching off to both the left and right, but the Pythian's attention was focused on the space in front of them. Like the rest of the temple, the walls and floor were made of the same flat gray stone. There was little furniture, save for an old rug spread over the floor. There were several black doors embedded in the walls, each one firmly shut without any hint of what sat beyond them. But really, the Pythia didn't notice any of this, because he was too busy staring at the stars. Hold on. I just got a text. What does this say? Are you fucking kidding me? October 27th? Oh my... Ah! Sorry, my partner just texted me, the FNAF movie's coming out October 27th! I'm so happy, I'm so excited! Oh, it's right before Halloween. It's right before Halloween? That's perfect! Oh my god! Hey, hold on, what does this post say? Let's see. We'll release Blumhouse's Five Nights at Freddy's on Friday, 23. The film will also premiere day and date with theatrical on Peacock. The terrifying horror game phenomenon becomes a blood-chilling cinematic event as Blumhouse, the producer of Megan, The Black Phone, and The Invisible Man, brings Five Nights at Freddy's to the big screen. The film follows a troubled security guard as he begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. While spending his first night on the job, he realizes the night shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. Ah! There's no way I'm missing this shit. No way. Anyway. They weren't real stars. That much was obvious. The constellations painted on the ceiling weren't any that the Pythia recognized, and he had a fascination with astronomy for a short while, so he knew most constellations from pictures held in the books of the palace library. Even still, though, the false sky was beautiful. The stone itself was painted such a deep shade of blue, it should have been black. It had just enough depth to tell the viewer that it wasn't. White stars were dotted across the canvas, made with a paint that shimmered in a way that was subtle enough that it made each one twinkle. Just like real stars. It's pretty amazing, right? Tommy asked after a few moments of silence. It's something, the Pythia admitted. Too odd to even come up with a sharp retort for Tommy. Whoever painted it is very talented. I mean, most of the paint you see on the walls and shit was done by us, Tommy said, his shoulder brushing against the Pythia's as he craned his neck up to look at the ceiling. This one was already here when Phil first found this place. We cleaned it up a bit and added some paint where it chipped off, but it's mostly original. So one deathling hundreds of years ago painted the night sky when they were too deep beneath the ground to see it themselves. For some reason, the realization that even deathlings wanted to see the stars made his chest ache. After another moment of staring at the ceiling, Tommy led him down one of the hallways, more floating lights buzzing around their heads. Voices began to echo off the walls, a brighter light streaking across the walls as they got closer to the end of the hallway. And then, the space opened up once again. This new cavern was almost as large as the main chamber of the temple itself. High ceilings were lit up by a mix of floating lights and string lights. The strings were stretched across the arched gaps, twinkling white while the floating orbs flickered between shades of pale purple. Near the back of the cavern, there was a row of tables and appliances that reminded the Pythia of a kitchen. The rest of the space was filled with three things: rugs, food, and people. Soft, hand-woven rugs were scattered across the stone floors. chattering voices bounced off the walls. Numerous deathlings sitting on the rugs with platters of food piled high in front of them. There weren't as many deathlings as the Pythia expected to see, but then again, this might not be everyone. Jack was sitting on a rug with a pink-haired girl, the two dipping what looked like bread rolls into various sauces spread on a metal platter between them. There was a man with green hair sitting by himself, looking half asleep as he tore chunks of bread off and ate them with what looked like overcooked bacon. Green hair. I'm trying to think of who has green hair in the Dream SMP. Sam! That makes sense. In the makeshift kitchen towards the back, the Pythia could also see Techno flipping something in a skillet, and was surprised to learn that someone so high up in the Deathlings hierarchy seemed to also be the resident cook. "Welcome to the cafeteria," Tommy said, making a grand sweeping gesture over the room with his arm. "You got any dietary restrictions?" The Pythia blinked. "What? Like, do you eat meat? You allergic to anything? It'd be kind of shit if I fed you something and you just fucking keeled over because it had, like, peanuts in it or something." No, I don't have any restrictions," the Pythia answered, eyeing the meat the green-haired man was eating with furrowed brows. Tommy nodded. "Cool. I'll go get Tommy!" He was cut off by an unfamiliar voice calling his name, and both he and the Pythia looked over to the far side of the room to see 3 people sitting on a rug aggressively waving at him. Tommy's eyes lit up, and he grabbed the Pythia's wrist to drag him over to the group. "Oh, thank fuck you're here. Did you guys get some hot bake before it was gone?" Tommy asked as soon as they were standing in front of the group. Obviously, the deathling boy who called them over cut himself off the minute his eyes landed on the Pythia, and the Pythia found himself shrinking back as 2 more pairs of eyes quickly followed. Okay, I'm guessing this is Tubbo and Rambu, but I don't know who's who, so I'm sticking with my regular accent. Holy Actually, no. I'm guessing it's Tubbo, Rambo, and Amesy, so I'm just gonna stay American for a moment. Holy fuck, it's the Pythia. Another deathling next to the boy whispered. Yeah, don't be fucking weird, guys," Tommy quickly told them, sitting down on the rug and tugging the Pythia down with him. "This is the Pythia." Anxiety buzzed under the Pythia's skin as the boy who waved them over leaned in close. Okay, so Tubbo was the one that Rambo wouldn't swear. Fucking death below, man! You're not what I expected at all. At all. The boy seemed to be around the same age as Tommy, with his right eye glowing neon yellow, and his left eye remaining a natural shade of blue. It looked as though at one point his hair had been bleached, but now only the tips remained fried blonde, while his dark brown roots had grown out. Along with that, his right cheek was marred by ropey burn scars that trailed down his jaw and under the green windbreaker he was bundled up in. Let me guess, you're expecting an old woman who spoke in riddles? The Pythia deadpanned, having heard this far too many times before. Hey, I might have been expecting an old man. The deathlings are all for gender equality. I kind of went Australian there. The deathlings are all for gender equality. The boy shot back, smirking now as he leaned back to his original sitting position. Tubbo, shut the fuck up. The deathling beside him cut in, elbowing him in the side before flashing the Pythia a bright smile. It's a pleasure to meet you, Pythia. My name's Amesy. I hope Tommy hasn't been too maddening to be around so far. Ainsley was obviously shorter than everyone else in the group, even sitting down. Dark brown hair fell a bit past their shoulders, a black beanie pulled down just above their eyebrows. Unlike Tubbo, both of their eyes were a plain shade of organic brown, though he could see two of the fingers on their right hand were made of the same purple metal as Tommy's prosthetic. Excuse you? Excuse you? I've been a very nice kidnapper so far, Tommy argued, scowling at them. The Pythia huffed. Tell that to the cuts on my face. Okay, that wasn't my fault and you know it. You shoving my face against the stone wall wasn't your fault. I didn't know that stupid fucking veil you were wearing was cutting into your face like that. Tommy, please don't get on Claire's bad side, the third person in the group said tiredly, cutting Tommy off. The Pythia stiffened when his eyes fell on the last Deathling's face. Because while Tubbo and Amesy seemed to have a few cybernetics each, neither one had very obvious ones. Wait, what was Tubbo's cybernetic? Probably the eye. This person, however, his cybernetics were unlike anything the Pythia had ever seen. The first thing he noticed was the Deathling's eyes. Both were obviously cybernetic, with one being a bright shade of green, the other one looking the same shade of crimson as Techno's. His right hand was completely prosthetic like Tommy's, and from the line he could see under the seam of his shirt, the metal went all the way up past his shoulder. The right leg of his pants was tucked slightly up as well, just from how he was sitting, revealing more of that purple metal in place of his calf. His face was the most jarring part, though. It was almost like a net of black wires stretched under the right side of his face. They bulged like veins, warping the skin around his cheek, jaw, and forehead in a way that was painful to even look at. The wires trailed down his jaw and onto his neck, meeting up with the metal that stretched past his shoulder. While it was sometimes difficult to tell if certain enchantments, like cybernetic eyes or limbs, had been done out of necessity or for mechanical benefits, it was easy to tell when certain cybernetics had been installed for survival more than anything else. A wire mesh net was definitely the sort of thing no one would get unless there was no other choice. And the Pythia didn't want to think about what sort of accident could make a procedure like that necessary. Pythia? You there? The Pythia blinked back into awareness when Tommy waved a hand in front of his face. Yeah, I'm here, he huffed, quickly looking back at his kidnapper. Well, as I was saying, that's Rambo. He's the guy you got your clothes from, Tommy explained, pointing to the Deathling with the fucked up cybernetics. Turning back to meet Rambu's eyes, the Pythia realized that even sitting down, Rambu was tall, possibly even taller than himself. Black hair almost fell to his shoulders, but there was so much white streaked through it, it almost made it seem gray if you weren't looking at it directly. Despite that, he could tell that Rambu was probably around the same age as Tubbo and Tommy, while Amesy seemed a few years older. I'm just... one second. Wait, there's a Saw 10? Five Nights at Freddy's and Saw 10 are gonna be released on the same day? Of course, Rambo would retweet it going, "It's just simply my year." It is simply your year, Rambo. Oh my god, I didn't even look completely at the... Who's that kid in that picture? And why is one of Freddy's ears gone? Anyway, wait, hold on. When did Rambo post that? Why am I not getting, like, any fucking Twitter notifications for Rambo's alt? That was 30 minutes ago. I know, 40 minutes ago, even. Anyway. "I hope they fit alright," Rambo said when the Pythia looked back at him, giving him a small smile. The Pythia glanced down at his sweater, absently pulling at some of the threads. Better than anything else I could get here, I guess." "What's that supposed to mean?" Tubbo asked, pushing a platter of the stuff that looked like overcooked bacon towards him and Tommy. Also, do you want some art bake? It's a bit cold, but still good." Art bake. It's been years since the Pythia had heard that term. It was shorthand for artificial bacon, a type of synthetic meat often sold for cheap at food stalls in the lower districts. Real meat was almost impossible to come by if you weren't wealthy. He never tried the stuff until after he'd been named the Pythia. Now he couldn't even remember what art bake tasted like. Reluctantly, the Pythia took a piece of art bake from the platter, noticing how it had been coated in a heavy layer of spices. He took a bite, expecting the strange chewiness that usually accompanied synthetic meat, but was surprised when he met with a satisfying crunch instead. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. The spices were well layered, hiding most of the artificial flavor that came with synthetic meat. Overcooking it seemed to get rid of the chewiness as well, although it left a distinct burnt taste in the back of his throat. "I just meant you guys probably don't have a wide array of clothing options, considering you're a bunch of terrorists hiding out in an underground temple and all," the Pythia explained after a moment, continuing to eat his art bake. "You love pointing out that we're terrorists," Tommy huffed, between a mouthful of his own art bake. "Also, we can, leave the temple, you know." "So what, do you just go to the mall or something to buy new clothes?" the Pythia asked, raising an eyebrow at Tommy. "Contrary to what you seem to think, we don't just perform blood rituals and stab each other," Tommy shot back, scowling now. "What did you think? We just wore black robes all the fucking time?" "Something like that, yeah," the Pythia said, meeting Tommy's scowl without flinching. "Wait, did he just say you thought we performed blood rituals?" Wait, did he just say you thought we performed blood rituals? Amesley cut in. "He did," Tommy told them. "Last night he told Phil and Techno that he thought the Deathlings performed human sacrifice. Can you believe that shit?" "Wait, can we perform human sacrifice?" Tubbo asked, something like hope glinting in his eyes. Tommy flashed Tubbo an annoyed look, opening his mouth to respond, but hesitating as his breathing hitched again. After a short gasp, he blinked and shook himself off, before responding with, "What the fuck? No!" "Oh, come on," Tubbo whined, leaning over to grab Tommy's arm. "I could think of plenty of people who would do a great job being sacrificed to Kristen." "Like who?" Rambo asked, giving Tubbo an alarmed look. Tubbo grinned. "Well, Shat is my first choice, obviously." The Pythia let out a sharp gasp at this, making all eyes in the group turn to him. Tubbo! Wait, no. Tubbo! You're gonna scare him! Amesy scolded, swatting his arm. I'm sorry, Pythia. We don't have any plans to sacrifice the Emperor to Lady Death, I swear. In the back of his mind, the Pythia had to admit there would be something satisfying if Schlatt were to die at the hands of the Deathlings. Maybe Clara would tell him, I told you so, once he met with her. Fuck. Wait. He shouldn't be thinking like that. Shaking himself off, the Pythia forced himself to frown at the 4 Deathlings sitting around him. You're just proving my point, he snapped, shooting Tubbo a dirty look. Here you are, joking about murdering your own emperor in cold blood. People like you are the reason worshipping death was abolished in the first place. For a moment, the group fell silent. Rambu and Amesy shared wide-eyed looks, while Tommy buried his face in his hands with a loud groan. Meanwhile, a slow smile was spreading over Tubbo's face. Damn, you're a fucking bootlicker now, aren't you? You're a fucking bootlicker now, aren't you? The Pythia choked on his art bake. Excuse me? A bootlicker! A bootlicker! Tubbo quipped cheerfully. You kissed the government's arse and all that. I know what bootlicker means, the Pythia snapped. I'm just shocked you have the gall to call me that. I mean, it's true, isn't it? Tubbo snorted. Tubbo, stop antagonizing Clara's chosen, Rambu muttered. Look, I'm just saying, you're a bit of a suck-up to government, Tubbo explained, holding his hands up in mock surrender. Just saying, don't mean any harm by it. The Pythia scowled. Says the fucking, please get a better insult than terrorist, Tommy groaned, cutting him off. The Pythia fixed Tommy with a flat stare that he couldn't even see because of the blindfold. I was going to say cultist, actually. Wow, I'm so wounded. I've been called a cultist, the Tubbo exclaimed, slumping into Ainsley's side. I'm never going to recover from this. Ouch, my heart. Despite the anxiety still twisting his insides, the Pythia couldn't shove down the anger fluttering behind the cage of his ribs, like a bird desperately trying to claw its way out of him. You treat this like it's a fucking game when it's not, the Pythia exclaimed, slamming his hand down on the ground. The things you do in the name of your goddess, they hurt real people, don't you get that? You worship death. You're not meant to worship death, you're supposed to fear it. You claim that it should be your right to worship who you want, but then you blow shit up and hurt innocent people, and you expect us all to think that worshipping Kristen does any fucking good for people? He scoffed and shook his head. You're all delusional. A heavy silence hung over the group for a few moments after the Pythia finished speaking. Tommy was frowning at him, while Rambu seemed to be trying to hide his face from view. Amesy was giving him a puzzled look, like they couldn't figure out what was going on inside his head. And Tubbo was considering his words, nodding to himself before meeting the Pythia's gaze again. Why shouldn't we worship death? Tubbo asked, furrowing his brows. The Pythia blinked. What? You said that we're supposed to fear death, not worship her. But why? What's wrong with worshipping death? What's wrong with worshipping death? It's unnatural, the Pythia tried to explain. Tubbo shrugged. How so? What? I don't understand. How is it unnatural? Tubbo pushed, straightening up. I'm just trying to understand why you're so against our beliefs, man. To his left, Tommy groaned. Tubbo, can you not start a religious debate with the Pythia? It's a fair question, Tubbo argued. If he wants to answer, he can, but he doesn't have to. And just like that, all eyes fell on the Pythia again. He considered Tubbo's points. His questions were fair, that was true. Why was worshipping death considered unnatural? Well, that was because it was... well, death was to be feared. It was the unknown. No one was sure what happened after you died, so why would you worship that? But then again, he supposed it could be argued, why wouldn't you worship that? The Pythia frowned, turning over the question in his head, before his frustration bubbled up again. Why was he even entertaining a question like that from a deathling? Tubbo had already argued in favor of human sacrifice. Even as a joke, that proved he wasn't a reasonable person to have a discussion like this with, because he was far too entrenched in the ideology of the deathlings to have any kind of objectivity in a debate. I'm not here to debate religion with a fucking deathling. The Pythia spat, pushing to his feet and storming away from the group. Behind him, he heard Tommy cough in surprise, stumbling to his feet to chase after him. Hey, where do you think you're going? Tommy demanded, grabbing his wrist before he could go far. I'm making my great escape, right now in front of this whole cafeteria. The Pythia deadpanned. Sighing, Tommy glanced back at his friends, before letting go of the Pythia's wrist. Just let me grab some food to take with me and we can leave, okay? Why don't you just go lock me in my cell and then you can eat with your friends without having to babysit me? The Pythia shot back, furrowing his brows. What? So you want to just stare at the fucking wall all day? Tommy asked, raising an eyebrow. The Pythia huffed. Obviously not. But why do you care? I'm your prisoner. You shouldn't give a shit if I'm bored or not. The bird behind his ribs was still wildly flapping its wings, his heartbeat picking up as he saw Tommy glance back at the group, considering what the Pythia had said. Despite his bold words, he really didn't want Tommy to leave him in the cell for the entire day. The only thing keeping him from choking on his own fear was the distractions Tommy provided him with. Showing him the bathhouse, taking him to get food, introducing him to more deathlings. It was keeping his mind away from the reality of the situation. If he focused on the details, he didn't have to step back and look at the bigger picture. He could temporarily forget about the fact that he was being held prisoner by a terrorist death cult, and would likely never return to the life he had before. He didn't want Tommy to leave him locked in that small room for even a few hours, let alone a whole day. Yet, he knew that's exactly what Tommy should have been doing, not giving him the grand tour. Trust me, Your brain will be fucking fried if you just stare at the ceiling of that room all the time, Tommy said after a moment, avoiding needing the Pythia's blindfold. Even if I follow Kristen, I'd rather not make an enemy out of Clara, you know? I'm pretty sure you already made an enemy out of her, considering you're preventing me from performing my duties as her vessel, he pointed out. Tommy rolled his eyes. For fuck's sake, just because I'm a deathling doesn't mean I'm not a decent human being. No matter how decent you are to me, Clara isn't going to forgive you for this, so you can stop trying, the Pythia snapped, tired of his stupid charade Tommy was playing. There was a beat of silence as Tommy stared at him, something unreadable flashing through his eyes. His jaw clenched, and suddenly, the buzzing under his skin returned as Tommy's eyes felt like they were seeing straight through him. Then, he huffed and turned on his heel. I'm getting some food, and then we're leaving together, okay? He said, walking away before he was even done with his sentence. The Pythia waited by the entryway to the cafeteria, noticing how most of the other deathlings had filtered out during his conversation with Tommy's friends. Techno had abandoned his post in the kitchen and was now nowhere to be found. Similarly, Jack and the pink-haired girl he was with had left, and the green-haired man walked by the Pythia and out the door without sparing him a second glance. He watched Tommy exchange a few hushed words with Tubbo, Rambu, and Amesy. All three of their eyes kept flickering back to him, and he tried to ignore the weight of their stares despite how they made his skin crawl. What were they thinking? Were they relieved he was leaving? Did they wish that Tommy had done the smart thing and just left the Pythia in his cell? Were they asking themselves why Tommy was going to so much trouble for his prisoner in the first place? That had to be it. When Amesy's worried eyes darted his way, it was out of worry for Tommy, he was sure. It didn't matter. Eventually, Tommy would realize that he wasn't going to just settle on his perch and accept this as his new home. He might have been a caged songbird back at the palace, but at least that cage was gilded. At least he knew his goddess could look over him in that cage. This one choked him with the smell of death, and was completely hidden from Clara's gaze, and he was going to be damned if he accepted his place here. Tommy walked back over, carrying a small plate of art bake with 2 bread rolls beside it. Let's go, Tommy said, taking a bite out of the bread as he left the cafeteria behind. Ignoring the stares boring into the back of his head, the Pythia turned on his heel to follow. They made their way back down the hallway, the space opening up into the night sky room once again. Instead of walking back into the main chamber of the temple like the Pythia had expected, Tommy instead led him to one of the doors embedded into the wall underneath the fake stairs. "Nikki!" Tommy shouted, knocking on the door with his metal hand. "You in there? I have someone I want you to meet." Immediately, a feminine voice called back, "Yeah, come in." Oh great, another deathling he was going to meet. Thanks a fucking lot, Tommy. Tommy opened the door to the room, gesturing for the Pythia to step through. He shot Tommy a dirty look before making his way inside. The room was a bit larger than his cell, but not by much. It had the same flat stone walls and floor that all the rooms here had, but there was no paint decorating any of it. Instead, there were 2 recesses in the wall shaped like arches, Small shelves at the bottom of each, filled with dozens of those electric candles flickering in shades of white and yellow. On the left side of the room, there was something that could only be described as a stone bed sitting in front of one of these shelves. It looked cold and unforgiving to lay down on, although a thin blanket had been thrown over top. With a metal tray on wheels pushed off to the side beside it. Then, the right side of the room had a large wooden desk shoved against it, covered with so many pieces of paper and bottles of ink it was difficult to find a single thing to look at. Oh, is this him? Well, the girl standing in front of the desk might be a good thing to focus on. The Pythia recognized the girl as the same pink-haired girl he'd seen Jack eating with in the cafeteria. Her eyes were a dull shade of gray-blue, undoubtedly human, and decorated with heavy black eyeliner. Unlike most of the deathlings he'd met so far, the girl wasn't wearing a long-sleeved shirt, but instead wore a plain black tank top. And even if her eyes were organic, this told the Pythia that her arms were very much not. Both her arms were made of the same purple metal that Tommy's hand was made of, and covered in those gorgeous vine and flower carvings as well. The metal shimmered with enchantments and ended right at her shoulders, and like Tommy's, the Pythia didn't doubt this was the work of a master engineer. Yup, this is him, Tommy introduced, already shoving past the Pythia to sit down on a beanbag near the girl's desk. Nikki, meet the Pythia. Pythia, this is Nikki. Don't be a prick to her. Nikki snorted. Tommy, I'm sure it'll be fine. No, he's a prick. Just ask Turbo MZ, Rambo, or even Phil and Techno. The Pythia scoffed as he made his way over to another beanbag beside Tommy, hovering awkwardly for a moment before deciding to stay standing instead. Like I've said, I think I have a right to be a bit pissy given the circumstances. And that's a fair point, Nikki agreed, sitting back down at her desk. You were kidnapped after all. I'm sure that's been a bit stressful. More than a bit, the Pythia muttered, leaning against the wall. Nikki opened her mouth to say something else, but hesitated, a crease forming between her brows as she stared at him. The Pythia squirmed under her gaze and tried not to flinch when she got to her feet, tensing as she made her way over to him. You have scratches on your face, she murmured, metal fingers ghosting over the cuts from the night before. Her eyes flickered back to Tommy. Have these been treated? Tommy blanched under her glare. They looked a lot worse last night, and you didn't say anything about them, so I figured it'd be fine to leave alone. Fucking death below, Tommy, Nikki huffed, shaking her head as she walked over to a wooden cabinet near the back of the room. The Pythia watched her take out a first aid kit, rummaging through it for a moment before pulling out a small container of healing salve. Have you used this before? She asked him, holding it out for him to take. While it was obviously cheaper stuff than the salves they had in the palace, he knew the application was basically the same, so he nodded. Yeah, I have. There's a mirror on my desk there, she said as he took the salve from her hand. The last thing we need is to kill the Pythia with an infection. Figuring he might as well take advantage of the medicine she was giving him, the Pythia did as she said, settling in the chair she'd been in a few moments before and pulling the small mirror close to him. His reflection made him pause. The blindfold was securely over his face, of course, but even with it covering so much, it was painfully obvious how much he'd been through in the past 24 hours. Bathing had helped get the dirt off, but that made the red lines on his cheeks only more obvious than before. He was also pale, and he was sure that if he looked under the blindfold, he'd see dark circles hanging under his eyes. Swallowing the lump in his throat, he smoothed the salve over the cuts, resisting the urge to sigh in relief when the lingering sting immediately went away. The salve was clear, but shimmered as if glitter had been dumped into it. So the more he spread it over his face, the more it looked as though someone had sprinkled glitter dust all over him. Once the cuts on his cheeks were soothed, he spread a bit of the salve along his palms, the instant relief almost addictive. He coated them as best he could without making them sticky, and once he was sure they were covered, twisted the cap back on the salve to hand back to Nikki. While he'd been doing that, Nikki had sat down on a beanbag next to Tommy. Still eating the food on his plate, Tommy had leaned over to Nikki, trying to get a peek at the sketchbook she had resting on her lap. She kept shooting him dirty looks, which he ignored as he tried to rest his chin on her shoulder so he could watch her draw without interruption. "What should I do with this?" the Pythia asked, holding up the salve in his hand. Glancing up from her sketchbook, Nikki shrugged. "Just leave it on the desk. I'll put it back later." Once he'd done that, her eyes flickered over his face again, no doubt noticing how reflective his cheeks were now. "Do you have any scrapes under the blindfold you want to put that on?" Nikki asked after a moment, furrowing her brows again. "Don't worry about using too much of it. I'm gonna make Tommy get me more next time he goes out." "Hey, I never agreed to that. Shouldn't have dropped that vial of ink I told you not to mess with," Nikki hummed, smirking at him as she scooted her beanbag away from his. "That wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault. Jack pushed me and you know it," Tommy argued. Nikki raised an eyebrow. "I suppose I could always just charge you for your next tattoo instead. How does that sound?" Tommy's eyes went wide. "I'll get the salve for you." "Thought so," Nikki said, looking like she was holding back a laugh as she slumped further into the beanbag. "Anyway, the point is, you can use more under your blindfold if you want." Fear lanced through the Pythia again at how casually she said that, at how oblivious they all were to the danger he posed. It's fine. I can't take the blindfold off around you guys, so..." He trailed off as he put the salve back on the desk. "I don't have any scrapes or cuts under it anyway, though, so it doesn't really matter." At this, Nikki frowned. "What do you mean you can't take the blindfold off around us?" "He says there's a curse." Tommy jumped in to explain that no one can see a Pythia's eyes or else they'll die an early death or something. Even though that doesn't make sense because Kristen is the one who controls when people die, not Clara. Nikki's frown deepened. "Huh. That is interesting. Did you tell Phil about that?" "Not yet. When he gets some free time I'm gonna ask him though, because that sounds like a load of bullshit to me." The Pythia clenched his jaw. "It's not bullshit. It's been a known fact about the Pythia for centuries now." "But that doesn't make sense," Tommy pushed. "If the Pythia is Clara's vessel, how could seeing their eyes influence when they die if that's Kristen's domain? Even you have to admit it doesn't make sense." "To be fair," Nikki cut in, "there's a lot we don't know about the history of the Pythia. For all we know, there could be texts discussing how Clara and Kristen maybe struck a deal or something? I'm not sure. But if the curse has been something Pythia have known about for centuries, I'm sure there's some truth to it. Thank you." the Pythia huffed, leaning back against his seat. Trust me, I don't wear this thing for fun. But I'm not in the habit of sending people to an early grave, so I'm stuck with it. Suddenly, Nikki sat straighter in her seat. It's enchanted, right? Yeah, that's how I see through it. At this, Nikki's eyes lit up. Really? How effective is it? Is it just like seeing normally, or is it cloudy? The Pythia blinked. It's almost perfect, but not quite. Everything has kind of a subtle blur over it, I suppose is how I describe it. It doesn't bother me, but by the end of the day, I usually have a terrible headache from wearing it for so long. Oh, that's so interesting. I wonder what runes they used for that, she said, half muttering to herself as her eyes skimmed over his blindfold. Nikki's our resident enchanter. Tommy jumped in to explain, no doubt noticing the confusion on the Pythia's face. Sam is the one who designs our cybernetics, and while he could also design the enchantments on them himself if he wanted, Nikki's way better, so she just does it for him. Oh, shush. I'm not that much better than him, Nikki scolded. I'm just better at keeping a steady drawing hand than he is. I'd hope you would be, since you've done literally all my tattoos, Tommy teased, nudging her side with his elbow. Wait, what? You have tattoos? The Pythia asked, narrowing his eyes behind the blindfold. Like, besides your deathling mark? Tommy's eyes widened. Oh shit, yeah, you haven't seen them. Suddenly, before the Pythia could ask what he was doing, Tommy was pulling off his hoodie and tossed it across the room. Sorry, I was just looking at some stuff. Now left in just a short-sleeved red shirt, the Pythia could see his bare arms for the first time, and jolted. Tommy's arms were covered in tattoos. Not nearly as many as Phil had, but still quite a few nonetheless. One of the ones that stuck out to him was a lit match on his upper left arm, with wisps of smoke curling from the top. There were also stars trailing up from his arm onto his shoulder, a bunch of lines bursting out in a way that reminded him of an explosion. A boy with wings, a goose, and even what looked like a bowl of noodles. Oh, and of course the deathling mark of dark angel wings settled right above his wrist, where the metal of his prosthetic met flesh. You have a lot of tattoos for an 18-year-old, the Pythia pointed out, unable to tear his eyes away from the expanse of ink. That tends to happen when you're a reckless deathling like Tommy is, Nikki teased, smirking at Tommy. The Pythia frowned. What do you mean by that? Well, tattoos have a bit of a different meaning for deathlings than they do for most people, Tommy began, sitting up straight as he stretched his arms out for the Pythia to see. Of course we can just get tattoos for fun like normal, but it's also a tradition to get a tattoo every time you have a near-death experience. Oh. Oh. So all of yours? The definition of a near-death experience can be determined by the deathling. Nikki cut in, no doubt noticing the dawning horror on his face. She pointed to the bowl of noodles on Tommy's arm. Tommy, do you want to explain that one? Looking down, Tommy laughed when he noticed the one she was pointing at. I was eating ramen and I choked on a noodle. The Pythia let out a sigh of relief. And I got this one from being shot by a cop, Tommy then added, tugging down the collar of his shirt to reveal a sun tattooed around a circular scar on his upper chest. And just like that, the Pythia's relief dissipated. Fuck, that's terrible. Tommy shrugged. Wasn't the worst one I've been through. He paused then, and the Pythia noticed his eyes lingering on the tattoo of the match, before quickly looking back at him. But yeah, I get into shit a lot, so I have more tattoos than most people here. Most people here. Suddenly, a realization washed over the Pythia. Wait, so all those tattoos Phil has, he doesn't say which ones are from near-death experiences, and which ones are just because he wants them. Nikki cut in. It's up to the individual if they want to share what their tattoo means. Tommy's a bit more open about it, but while I won't tell people what mine are for until I really trust them. Considering the Pythia couldn't see any visible tattoos on Nikki, he wondered how many she could have. Nausea crawled up his throat the longer he stared at Tommy's tattoos. Each of those was for a time he nearly died. Sure, the ramen one was funny. What about the one that looked like an explosion? What could the lit match imply? What about you? Nikki suddenly asked, startling him out of his thoughts. Do you have any tattoos? Or cybernetics? Tommy jumped in. I didn't notice any last night, but I'm sure you got, state-of-the-art shit living in the palace and all. The nausea only got stronger as the Pythia curled in on himself, the itch under his skin growing stronger as he tried to ignore the weight of Tommy and Nikki's stares. No, I don't. He paused, taking a shaky breath to try and steady himself. It's forbidden for Pythia to have any kind of body modifications. The Pythia is a vessel, the old woman told him, her gaze piercing through him despite the fact that her eyes were hidden behind a blindfold. Your body is not yours, it's hers. Every breath you take, every time your heart beats, is because of her. So you must never damage or change her mortal form in any way. That was the crux of his rules. The Pythia was a sacred vessel for her. Therefore, piercings, tattoos, cybernetics, hair dye, all of those things would be considered desecration. Well, that sucks, Tommy huffed, slumping further down in his beanbag. Doesn't suck, the Pythia said, feeling like his mouth was full of cotton. It's just the way things are. Wow. What a good chapter. I always love reading Bones and the Bees' work. The thing is, The chapter's over, but I want to keep streaming. And I don't want to read another chapter. Not tonight. So how about we play some Minecraft? Eh? Let's do it, shall we? Minecraft. So let's boot up the game. This might take a while. And also, while we're at it, change the music. Honestly, not much of a different feel from what we were just listening to. But that's probably gonna change quickly, because my stream playlist is all over the place. Oh shit, I need to... Glass eyes, glass eyes. I need to actually show the game. That's not right. There we go. Is it? Fool me once and I'll resent your ass. Let's play some MCCI Island, eh? Let's see, what's, do I have any? Still no. I don't know why I would. I literally checked before I logged off before stream. Let's play some Hole in the Wall. I need to ease into being ragey. And there's still some high popularity in Hole in the Wall at this hour. I need to think of other things to do on stream. But the thing is, I can't really play that many games because I don't have that many games on my computer. And a lot of games cost money. I've been thinking recently, actually, whenever I get some money, when I'm a bit more financially secure, I was thinking maybe trying Stardew Valley. It's never really been of interest to me in the past, but I don't know. I feel like I'd like the vibes of Stardew Valley a lot. Let me know if that's a good idea, because I'd like to play it. I want to know if you guys would watch it. Oh shit, I just realized. I still need to do my Duolingo lesson. Okay, I'm gonna do it on my phone because I don't wanna, I don't want a game to suddenly start while the stream is casting something else or on a different screen. I don't like his eyes, and I distrust their name, and I hate their haircut. They look like a prick. A prick! Okay, game is starting. I haven't started the Duolingo lesson yet. I got distracted by Ron posting on Tumblr. God, it's crazy to think about the fact that I'm going to be a 30-month subscriber in 4 months. Off on you. No, you fucking don't. No, you fucking don't. Fuck you. Fuck you. Ooh, boy. Stop. Leave me be. Nope. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. No, you don't. Seems like all our friends abruptly fell in love. I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like the things aren't level, you know? Like the music. Nope, not doing it. Oh, phew. No. My mouse is a bit laggy and I don't know why. I'm actually doing decent. Whee! Well, goodbye, that person. Did it rub off on you? Woo! Whip! How do I do this one? Woo! Uh-oh. Whoop! Uh-oh. Second chance, and it didn't work. Bye. Damn. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I'm gonna turn down this for a bit. Oh, the pillagers are one of the worst ones. Alright, let's start the Duolingo lesson. I've been trying to keep my streak of Spanish. I've had to use a couple phrases here and there, but so far I'm on I think a 26-day streak? I can't remember. Circuit board to brain. Si necesito un taxi, por favor. Mi teléfono. ¿Es mi maleta? Yeah. Mi pasaporte. Taxi. Mi maleta. Okay. Time to do this for a bit. Like I was going to war, a player soon appeared, and I quickly was revered. This must be what love would have felt like. Has this person just been AFK? So that's fucking lucky. That they're standing in a spot where they haven't been knocked off yet. Whew. That's changing now, though. Yep, bye. I could do whatever I felt like, whatever I felt like. You can't win me. I can't. No, this one sucks. Although I think the worst modifier in this game is revenge, where slimes just randomly spawn and they cannot. Bro, what the hell? Was there another wall that I just didn't see? What the hell? What the fuck? Bro. Ooh. Duolingo time. Passport, please. Un teléfono. Una maleta. El pasaporte. I've already learned these words. Is this just a review? Yo necesito un teléfono. Yo necesito un taxi. Wait. What does this say? I figured it was maleta. Mi maleta. Yo necesito un teléfono. El pasaporte. There we go. Okay, now it's a 27-day streak. This is, okay, this is supposed to be Unit 5 Shop for Clothes, but this lesson started me with travel shit. Okay, to be fair, that was get around in a city. The hole in the center looks really weird. Doesn't normally look like that. I don't remember that being like that. Oh, there we go. It was just a glitch on my screen. Alright, one more person join so we can play the next game. There we go. Bro. But I get why the barrier blocks are there, but I wish I could have just, you know, jumped on the fence thing and then jumped back in. Not with the intent to win, I just want to fuck around. Dinosaur orchestra, dinosaur orchestra. This time I will do better. Dinosaur orchestra. Oh, rip to that person. Yo, the walls are going to the beat of this song. Nope. Here. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. Oh. The eggs are so annoying as well. The eggs and the arrows. They're like B tier annoying, though. Like, S tier annoying is Revenge and Matrix. I would put Eggs and Aerostorm in B tier annoying. Also, I don't know why my mouse is so laggy. Maybe I just need to give it a bit more breaks than I do. No. Yours now. Have fun. Whew. I also don't like how the walls don't register immediately. Oh, that was close. Ah, my mouse! My mouse is lagging. I can't move! Okay, we're good. Oh, top 3, let's go. Okay, what the hell is this? Whew. I can only see half the walls. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Woo! This one, this one, this one, this one. Uh-oh. Well. Not too bad. Actually, I don't want to play hole in the wall again. See, I got a medium currency pouch. 1,107 coins. That's okay. Bro, why is my mouse doing that? You see that? You see that? I'm moving it constantly back and forth. I'm not stopping my mouse. But sometimes you just see the tiniest bit of black. See, there! There! I don't know why it does that. Yo, Dan TDM skin. I should probably let the Discord know. That we're now playing Minecraft. Yo! Apparently, if Genlost does really well, so that to the point where Rambu gets to, like, be featured in, like, the premiere of FNAF. Wait, hold on. If I get invited, if I go to the actual FNAF movie premiere because of how well Genlost does, he'll get a photo of my dog. Frisbee photo! Oh shit. I'm probably gonna perform really badly. Uh-oh. Get away. Fuck you! I was invisible. You shouldn't have been able to see me. I need to work on why I feel like shit every time we lose. I'm just super competitive, you know? Like, if we lose, every time they rush in, every time they go in after killing us all to fill in that center thing, I'm just always like, man, and then they call them cringe. Just to, I don't know. And I'm always like, guys, making us lose is cringe. But really, it's just playing the game. They're just playing the game like it was intended. Fillers, on the other hand, are cowards and don't deserve to win. That way, if they do win, technically, no they don't. That's just how it works. Nope. Nope. Not dealing with that. Let me move! Thanks, King. There we go. Jesus Christ. What the hell? Where were you? Oh, of course it's Atomic Cherry. I don't even want to look at you. There's, like, I've been playing Battle Box, like, off stream pretty much every single day since I got my ticket for MCCI Island, save for the month I was banned. But every time I see, like, people that I'm like, oh man, they're good at this game, and they end up winning, I'm just like, fuck you. Let us have a chance, goddamn. Nope. Fuck you! Well, at least this time we actually got some points here and there. Bro. Just fill. Don't be rude. Also, I hate when people do that. When they stand after winning, they stand in the center and just let the time run out. I hate when people do that. Now I just press facsimile. Bro, I took my hand off the keyboard on here. So tell me why I still was walking forward. Why does my keyboard do that? Why? This has been happening for months, and I don't know why. Oh shit! Did I show you guys my new skin? God damn, I was gonna hype this up and everything. I was gonna hype it up and everything. God damn it. But yeah, this is my new skin. I talked about this the last time I streamed Minecraft, and I actually went ahead and did it. Somewhere warm to sleep. Man, I'm so disappointed in myself. I was gonna hype this up and everything, but now the suspense is ruined. Ugh. I am, however, gonna put that in my title now that I've remembered. I'm beside you. There we go. That definitely didn't hit anyone. Bruh. He's a suture. I don't miss you. Oh, that should have hit. There we go. Ooh. Oh, did I hit? Cause this is the part where I shut up and let you infest my brain. All through my cortex and Let you drink, you'll never get rid of me. Oh, I'm like a fucking disease. I'll make a hole in your gut, 'cause it's somewhere warm to sleep. It's okay. I was not expecting to actually do that. I surely thought I was a dead man. I thought I was a dead man. It's okay. It's okay. Nope. Maybe use a sextant. Yeah. This ain't good. How did I do that? No. Nice. Oh, it's HP new. Why am I overflowing when I feel so empty? How am I overflowing? Oh dear. See, this is where we're probably going to lose. Okay. Just... Where is everyone and why were none of my swords hit? Boo! Boo! Sorry, I'm salty. I hate when streaks are broken as well. Like, that bumped me down to 4. Okay, 4th, to be fair, that's pretty damn good. Plenty. Look at me. Can I just say, I designed this myself. Well, I still kept some things, obviously. But you would not believe how long it took for me to figure out fucking good colors for this hoodie. It took forever. I feel so empty. Every time that we're on this map, I get scared that a certain player is one of the opposing teammates, because every time I do my regular strat, they go up and just absolutely decimate me every time, and it's fucking annoying. Wait, Prezzo? I don't see Prezzo unless they're nicked. Okay, that was pathetic on my end. Apologies. Oh my god. Woo! Damn, I am throwing. Bro, what is going on with my mouse? Let me fucking move, please. Okay. Let me kill you! I'm upset. If we're on 0 points, and you know for a fact that I'm not gonna 1v4 you because I'm shit at PvP, you should let me kill one person. We need the points. I need the points for my dignity. Didn't even know it. we go. How'd that not hit you, bruh? Bro. I'm throwing so hard, it is unreal. No! No, you don't! Fuck you! Maybe this was a bad idea. I'm feeling in a toxic mood. And toxicity when I lose is no- Oh, no wonder we're fucking losing. One of us was a- Don't tell me what to do. Jesus. Jesus! Oh, of course you're a fucking healer. Cringe! 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 Cringe, 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 cringe. How about you let me do what I do best? Because, trust me, I suck when I don't do that. I'm just gonna turn off chat. People are being fucking dumb. Oh man, HPV's on an opposite team and they're probably gonna come after me. Maybe streaming, maybe continuing stream was a bad idea. Okay, you stay over here. I will move over here. We can work from both sides. Oh, that was a bad move on my part. My bad. Yo. Damn. Didn't think about that. What the fuck? Guys, heal. Where are you? There we go. Jesus. Phew. Whee. Boo-doo-doo. How many people did I kill? I think I only killed one. That's the wrong way. Okay, gotta be careful. I have a feeling Moo is probably going to target me. Okay, so far so good. Toilet with the seat left up, its closure like a deer in headlights. She will be there one day. I'll focus on the future, maybe one day. Oh my god, let me fucking move! Damn. Focus on the future, maybe one day. Fucking inconsistent to do, 'cause all I want to do is turn back time, just in case. For I found one right turn to, but I'm I'm not afraid of empty rooms. I'm not afraid of new perfume. And in fact, my dear, I'm fucking terrified. Maybe one day, fucking inconsistent. Oh, it was just you. You got them? Cause I know that. Bro, they're just staying up there. Yeah, that was... They weren't gonna come down. Normally I'm like, don't fill early, but... Oh, wait. Did they all... Oh, they all died. I look like a fool. Shit. There we go. Let's close Discord. Do you think maybe it's because I have too many things open? Is that why my shit's acting up? Because that's what typically happens. This only ever happens this bad when I'm streaming and I have multiple things open. Maybe that means I need to delete some shit off of my computer. Ow! Where'd you go? God damn. You are ruthless. Dooya! Where the fuck? What the fuck was that noise? Yo, okay, pop off. Okay, maybe not. Oh? You got this, king. You got this, king. Or maybe not. Ah, man. I was really hoping they'd forget. Hey, we still did good. We still did good. Notice how much happier I've gotten ever since I turned off chat. What the fuck was that noise outside? I'm scared. Boom! Okay, let me down. Let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out. No drowning today! Oh, that's cheap, 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 cheap. Yippee! Bro, what? Oh, they put blindness. Damn, two teams really like playing the long game. Unless it was just blue that was doing it. There we go! Ah! I got some hits, though. Damn, GG. I did pretty good, though. Aw, man. That bumped me down to 5th. Honestly, though, 5th with only one team win? Oh, it's probably gonna bump me down even further, though, because we... Oh, it's gonna bump us down to 3rd on team. Damn. Didn't even make leaderboard. I did so good, though. How many kills did I get? 3? 3 or 4? Or did I get 5? How many did I get? I killed one person on blue. How many did I kill on orange? 2? I think I killed 2 people on orange. I don't know. Oh, why is my mouse doing that? You see that? I'm trying to move it smoothly and it just keeps lagging. Alright, let's do this. Whee! Mine. Teehee. Ah, damn. I'm throwing! Oh, that hit! Oof. Yay, I got someone. Oh, I thought that surely someone would be over here. There's one left. Try and pinch him. Never mind, we did it. God, my mouse is all finicky today. Whee! Back off! I'm just committing. I'm not committing, I'm committing suicide by doing that. That was so stupid on my part. Guys were 3rd. You don't deserve that. I need to remind myself that these are actual people, and I should be happy for them when they win. But I just get so upset when I lose. That overpowers everything else. Also, maybe if I just fucking get good shots, then maybe I'll get some people. Okay, that didn't work. What if I just... Why am I hitting people with my bow? I thought I went to my sword. Get him! There we go. Yeah, first place. Alright. One more game and then I'm gonna call it. Because I feel like I need to, like, close some shit in order for me to perform Minecraft well. And one of the things I'm gonna close is OBS. Leaders on the silver screen. Yo, Gorgon. Mr. Smithereens. Got the spiffy shades. Spiffy shades. Hey, look at me, casually. You know what I'm gonna do after this? I'm gonna brew myself some tea. In the most makeshift way possible, because I don't have a tea kettle. The way I do that is, whoop. Nope. Not today. Whee! Oh, nice. I'm just gonna stay back for a bit. See someone over there. Okay, well, I didn't want to do that. Oh my god, I keep overshooting. Nope. Uh-oh. Yeah, how about we just... And for another one for good measure. Oh, you whore! You absolute bitch! I hate when people do that. When it's not me. Oh, you... try hard! Do what everyone else does and stay on your side for a bit. Cringe lord! Cringe lord! Sorry. Bro, stop moving. That didn't fucking work and I'm upset. Oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Where the fuck is everyone? Okay, one more game. I'm not finishing it off like that. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Oh, you were low? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And your mom. I really gotta stop doing that stim though. I've developed it ever since like MCCI Island pretty much. Where if I get really upset at someone that kills me or like does some cringe shit, I like flip them off with both my hands and then bang my hands together. that I do it so aggressively to the point where it hurts. I know I shouldn't do that, but in my brain, that's the only way I can effectively show my emotion and try and get rid of it. Nope. Oh, you whore. Nope. But I'm screaming at my demons. Oh, there's another one. Oh, fuck you! I would leave, like, right now, because I feel like I need that, but I hate it when anyone on our team, like, leaves, so I don't want to do that to my team. I've been getting better at not being toxic. Why suddenly now am I just so upset at everything? Someone's coming, someone's coming. Fuck you! I just want to be good. I wish my game, no, I wish my keyboard and my mouse weren't so fucking glitchy. And I wish people weren't so good at this game where they beat me every fucking time we're against them, because then that makes the game not fun. It's not fun when you always lose. I mean, granted, I don't always lose. I have to use that early. Fucking bitch. That was mine. Leave me alone. You guys are so cringe. Oh my god. Why do you always feel the need to flash me? Fuck you!